Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gomansing. In our top story, although the 2017 budget hearing did not conclude with the passing of the 2018 budget, Virgin Islands Legislature's Finance Committee Chair, Senator Kurt Violet, shared with News 2 the status of the 2018 budget, as well as the legislature's role in the requested $800 million in federal aid by Governor Kenneth Mapp. Richard Dorsey reports.
Finance Committee Chairman Senator Violet spoke with News 2 in regards to where the budget process for the government of the Virgin Islands left off, including his insights on a portion of the recently passed emergency aid package that has hundreds of millions of dollars earmarked for the U.S. Virgin Islands.
But what we do plan to do is to go back in December when we have some more firm numbers as to how the economy is doing, when we know how much money we're going to get from the community disaster loan. Are we going to start over that budget process?
With Governor Mapp requesting $800 million out of the $4.9 billion earmarked for the territories, Senator Kurt Violet spoke about the legislature's role in oversight of those funds.
It will be, because the money is going to supplement our operating budget, and the operating budget is passed with the legislature of the Virgin Islands. So the money is going to fall under our purview. The monies that are coming in will not only be for this fiscal year, but we're really going to utilize the money for 3 fiscal years coming up. And I told the governor, as soon as you get those monies, it's not going to be that you just spend how you want. We are going to regulate and make sure that all of those outstanding payments that we need, vendors, GRS, health insurance, that everything is met.
Senator Violet discusses what he sees as possible revenue to be collected during this time.
Are experiencing a loss right now in terms of the number of people that are unemployed. Our employment sector took a big hit, especially in the tourism industry. In St. Thomas, we lost over 1,000 jobs, I'm almost sure. And before I continue with that, that's one of the areas I am very disappointed with the Bureau of Economic Research, their ability to give you hard numbers. And when we did meet with the financial team, we tried to find out which sectors were hit, what are the unemployment, and in the different areas, they were not able to give us any type of numbers. And that is one of the entities that we're thinking about consolidating so that they can really perform better. We're going to take a hit in the tourism industry when it comes to hotel individuals who work in the hotel industry. We're going to get a tremendous bump in the construction industry, and you can tell just by the announcement that GEC had about 2 weeks ago where they were saying we need 2,000 workers to be hired immediately. You can see all of the crews that are working on the road. So a lot of individuals are receiving employment. The key for the government of the Virgin Islands and the key that Department of Labor and IRB needs to do is to make sure that those individuals are receiving a check where they're deducting individual income tax, Social Security, etc., and that these contractors are not paying in cash, so that the government of the Virgin Islands can collect the taxes, and that those contractors, those individuals are paying the gross receipt. If they're bringing in stuff, they pay the excise taxes. So we just need to do a real good job in terms of making sure that all of the monies that are going to be flowing through the Virgin Islands, that we're getting our fair share.
Richard Dorsey, News 2.
The increase of employment in certain sectors, such as construction, debris removal, and other recovery jobs, should bring relief to many Virgin Islands residents while the territories recovers. Now, bipartisan congressional leaders joined Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett in the USVI. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy and House Democratic Whip Steny Hoyer led a bipartisan congressional delegation to the USVI on Friday, today, to survey hurricane damage and speak with local officials on how Congress can continue to support the relief and recovery efforts. Here's more.
I'm so happy and pleased that we had a congressional delegation of many of the leaders of the U.S. House of Representatives here that were on the ground. We had a great time where great visit. They were able to see a lot of the damage that took place on the islands, went to one of our schools, Ricardo Richards, out west, also into the town of Frederickstead, had a tour of Juan Louis Hospital, and was able to have a lunch discussion with many of the leaders and community advocates, along with FEMA officials, VITEMA, and others in our local administration.
And the tour today, very informative. When we toured the school to see the damage where the school could not go forward, there were a number of children there. And they were only there because they were waiting for a bus to be moved to the other part of the island to attend school. And when I talked to them, their school day lasts much longer because it has to start earlier to be able to share as they went through. We toured the hospital, the wings that are shut down, the ability for dialysis not being here, and then putting the community together with all the different challenges being faced.
But this is not a partisan issue, as you can tell. This is about helping our fellow Americans not only be rescued, but to be restored, and to be restored at 21st century levels. I want to make that very clear, that there is a consensus, I think, among us that is not simply sufficient to replace that which was, but to make that that we replace to 21st century standards so that this devastation will not be again revisited.
Meanwhile, Governor Kenneth Mapp is publicly applauding U.S. President Donald Trump for signing into law the additional supplemental appropriations for Disaster Relief Requirements Act 2017. On Thursday, the White House announced that the president signed Act H.R. 2266, which provides additional fiscal year 2018 emergency supplemental funding for hurricane and wildfire relief and recovery efforts. On Wednesday, the U.S. Senate, as we shared, completed action on the $36.5 billion supplemental disaster recovery spending bill, which includes $4.9 billion for emergency operating loans for the governments of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Governor Mapp said the formal approval of this funding will go a long way to help the U.S. Virgin Islands bounce back. Time is running out for Virgin Islands hurricane survivors to sign up for Operation Blue Roof, and that's for free temporary roofing repairs to their homes. Now, the deadline is Friday, November 3rd. That's the final day for residents on all U.S. Virgin Islands to apply. Here's more.
With us and with me from Irma.
Operation Blue Roof is carried out by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in partnership with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and the U.S. Virgin Islands government to provide homeowners affected by Hurricanes Irma and Maria with fiber-reinforced blue plastic sheeting to cover their damaged roofs until permanent repairs can be made.
I'd like to take just a minute to urge folks that still need temporary roofs here on St. Thomas and St. John to get into our collection centers and apply by 3 November for our services, as we will quit collecting applications on 3 November, and we would love to continue to provide as many roofs as we are able.
Homeowners must sign a right of entry form, ROE form, that allows the staff on the property to assess roof damage and install the plastic sheeting. It generally takes about 8 days for a representative to visit the home once the ROE is signed, and the installation will be done about 2 weeks later.
Homeowners just need to come to one of the collection centers and apply for an assessment to be done, and they do that by filling out a right of entry form that gives us permission to come to their house and assess their roof to see if it qualifies for a temporary blue roof.
Survivors can help the representatives locate their residents by placing visible addresses or plot numbers on their property. They're asked to bring a photo identification, property tax bill, and if possible, a photograph of the damaged roof for property identification.
We have approximately 1,900 applications in so far, and we've gone out and assessed approximately 1,500 of those so far, and about 400 blue roofs have been installed so far.
Not all roof types qualify for the program. Operation Blue Roof should protect property for a minimum of 30 days and allow residents to remain in or return to their homes while recovering from the storms.
Once you apply for help, an Army Corps of Engineers person wearing a red shirt will come out to your house and assess your roof and determine if it's eligible. And they will take measurements and submit that to our office. And if the house is eligible for a blue roof, that will then be passed on as a work order to the contractor to install the blue roof. and the contractor should get the blue roof installed within 10 days of us issuing the work order. If someone sees any of the Army Corps people in red shirts in their neighborhood, they can ask them for a right of entry form, and they can fill out the application then and there, and we can do the assessment then and there at the same time. So feel free to approach anybody wearing an Army Corps of Engineers red shirt. For Spanish-speaking people, we do have staff members who speak Spanish. So if that is a need, just express that need and we will get a Spanish-speaking person to help you.
Now, survivors are warned to be aware of scams. Operation Blue Roof is a free service. If survivors are asked to pay, they say you're not dealing with the Operation Blue Roof. Now, to apply, survivors should visit an ROE center to sign the form and verify eligibility. In St. Croix, the survivors may visit representatives at the Disaster Recovery Center in the old post office building at Church and Company Street, Christiansted, from 9 to 5. The Department of Public Works, Christiansted, from 12 to 4, Monday through Friday. Disaster Recovery Center at the Rotary Club West in LaGrange, Fredericksted, 9 to 5. And the Mobile Command Vehicle at the Sunshine Mall, Kmart West, Friday, in Fredericksted, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. St. Thomas, survivors may visit Department of Public Works in Subbase, Monday to Friday, 9 to 1. Department of Health, Hospital Ground, 9 a.m. to 1, Monday through Friday. The Tutu Fire Station in Anna's Retreat from 9 a.m. to 1, Monday to Friday. Government Employees Retirement System Building, the first floor, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. also Monday to Friday. St. John, survivors may head to the Legislature Annex in Cruz Bay from 9 a.m. to 1 Monday to Friday. And if you know of a survivor who needs a temporary roof but is unable to visit an ROE center, you can let the center officials know the location so they can reach out to find a location in your area. Call 888-ROOF-BLUE. Well, the Trump administration said Friday it had no involvement in the decision to award a $300 million contract to help restore Puerto Rico's power grid to a tiny Montana company in Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke's hometown. The White House said Friday that federal officials played no role in the selection of Whitefish Energy Holdings by the Puerto Rico Electric Power Company. Trump spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders said the president had asked Zinke about the contract and that the cabinet secretary said he had nothing to do with it. Workers from Montana-based Whitefish Energy Holdings helped fix the island's power grid in Manatee, Puerto Rico, October 25, 2017. The administration is seeking to distance itself from the issue amid a growing number of investigation and bipartisan chorus of criticism from Capitol Hill. The Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General and agency watchdog confirmed Friday that federal auditors will review the Whitefish contract. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is part of Homeland Security, said it has not approved any reimbursement request from the utility for money to cover ongoing repairs to the island's power grid following Hurricane Maria. Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers, we can see everything up. The Dow 33, NASDAQ 144, S&P 500 up 20. Coming up on NEWS2, we have the latest from WAPA. Also, good news for VI Housing Authority residents. Rent for all public housing authority is 100% abated. Details on that is coming up next. Back. The Bureau of Motor Vehicles is open for business, but accepting only cash for now. Earlier this month, we shared that the St. Thomas and St. Croix offices at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, they suffered some severe storm damage as a result of last month's hurricanes. Director Lawrence Olive has an update for those who are looking to renew the driver's licenses.
We are now able to produce driver's licenses for individuals from the St. Thomas and St. John district. On Monday morning, we will be issuing driver's licenses for renewal, for duplicates, and for ID purposes. We are also right now dealing with the inspection of vehicles, registering vehicles. We are also doing transfers, duplicate titles, duplicate registrations for individuals who have lost their registration and title. So we're open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday, and we're doing the best we can with the facilities that we have to serve the public, to make sure that the motoring public is again legal on the road, and individuals who have expired licenses get their license renewed. And we are also only accepting cash payments at the Bureau for the meantime, because we have no internet service, so we cannot do credit cards and other cards for purposes of payment.
Meanwhile, additional equipment and supplies arrived on St. Thomas Thursday ahead of 250 linemen and engineers who are expected in the territory today. Service trucks, digger derricks, trailers, and other equipment were offloaded at the West Indian Company dock. And here's John Gurria with more on the restoration updates at WAPA.
On St. Croix on Feeder 4A, crews planted poles along the feeder path, while additional customers were restored in Christiansted on Feeder 1A. In Hannes Rest, crews continued the reconstruction of primary circuits and will string lines and install transformers on Friday. Additional poles were planted as efforts continue to energize the modular units at the Governor Wanaflowy Hospital. Poles were planted and lines were installed along Feeder 5A in Estate Strawberry, and in Frederickstead, contractors planted additional poles while other crews framed poles on Good Hope Road. On St. Thomas, crews continued work on Feeder 6A from Black Point Hill towards Fortuna, planting poles and installing primary circuits. Work is progressing steadily in areas including Estate Santa Maria, Pearl, and from the Clearview Apartments to near the Crown and Hawk intersection. There was also work completed on the build-out of Feeders 7A and 8A from the Harley Power Plant. Crews restored service to customers in Estate Tutu, while other crews reconstructed circuits on the Duno Road and in Red Hook towards Smith Bay. Additional customers in Lindbergh Bay had their service restored on Thursday, as well as residents in Estates Altona, Mahogany Estate, and Agnes Fancy. On St. John, the submarine cable has been energized to the electrical substation, with efforts continuing to energize portions of Cruz Bay this week. On Friday, WAPA crews will continue restoration work in the following areas of St. Croix: Estates Williams Delight, Women Carlton, as well as in the downtown Christiansted area. On St. Thomas, crews will work in areas including the Subbase roadway near Bryan's Electric, Duno Road, Nada Bridge intersection, Tabor and Harmony roadway from the Mandal to Hidden Valley intersections, the Crown and Hawk intersection to Estate Pearl, Lindbergh Bay, and on the Smith Bay Road. Motorists are urged to follow the directions of roadside flaggers, military police, and VIPD officers who are assisting with traffic control.
Thanks for that update, John. Well, good news for VI Housing Authority residents. Rent for all public housing authorities, St. Thomas, St. Croix, is 100% abated. That's from October to January 2018. Well, here's the spokesperson for VI Housing Authority, George Silcott, to explain.
The Virgin Islands Housing Authority will apply a 100% rent abatement for all rental payments for the months of October, November, and December. This simply means that for the months of October, November, and December, you will not have to pay any rent on St. Thomas and also on St. Croix. We're asking that you use this time to provide for your families the best way you can. The Virgin Islands Housing Authority will also like to advise all of our Tutu high-rise residents, if you have relocated into a neighboring community, please seek out your new property manager so you can discuss your calculated payment amount. Also, please be advised that on January 1st, 2018, all rental payments will return to their regularly scheduled calculated payment amounts and must be paid by January 10th in order to avoid any late fees. This rental abatement does not apply, however, to our Section 8 renters. We will continue to provide payments for your housing assistance, and we are asking that you communicate with your landlords to try to facilitate some type of payment plan as needs be. If you have any questions whatsoever about this message, I encourage you to give me a call at 340-244-6606. You can call that number 24/7 to speak to me, George Silcott II, with the Virgin Islands Housing Authority.
Thanks for that update, George. Marvin Pickering, who's the director of the Bureau of Internal Revenue, informs all taxpayers that effective Monday, October 30th, 2017, the Bureau offices across the territory will be open from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. On St. Croix, the Estate Diamond office is also open. For excise tax clearances, BIR is still clearing from the U.S. Customs Office at the Henry E. Wilson Airport air cargo location. At this time, he says the Gallows Bay office still remains closed. The Bureau will inform the public once this location becomes operational again. Here in St. Thomas, both the East End Plaza and Niski Center office locations are open and in full operation. Taxpayers are reminded that they can file and pay taxes at either location. The temporary excise and cashier's offices, which were located at the Tropical Shipping Office in Crown Bay, will be closed today, Friday, October 27th, coming up Friday, October 27th at 3 p.m. The Bureau of Internal Revenue extends its gratitude and appreciation to the staff of Tropical Shipping for allowing the office to continue service to taxpayers from their St. Thomas locations, and that was today, by the way. Be sure to stick around. News 2 AccuWeather forecast comes up next.
Well, pretty quiet across the Virgin Islands. No major systems to speak of here, and no waves that we're watching either. All the action you can see is off to the south of Cuba. That's where we are watching some potential tropical development there. We have seen a scattering of a couple of showers around, and there's also been a few clouds around the area as well. You can see a little bit of that activity popping up there with an upper level feature. Now for tonight, we'll see a few showers, a temperature of 77 degrees. Tomorrow in St. John's, more clouds than sun, 86 degrees. A shower or two could still be around, so a little bit of shower activity still tomorrow in St. Thomas as well at 86 degrees, and more clouds than sun for tomorrow there as well. In St. Croix, 88 degrees with a shower or two into tomorrow. The waves on the Atlantic side, 3 to 5 feet with an easterly wind of 10 to 15 knots, and on the Caribbean side here, 2 to 4 feet are our waves, and we have an easterly wind of 10 to 15 knots. Now, as we look at the forecast here, we've got a shower or two, a couple of showers around still for tomorrow in spots. Sunday, less frequent. There still could be a shower or two, about 50-50 as far as clouds and sun are concerned. Monday, more sun than clouds. We could see perhaps a passing shower or two in the area. Tuesday and Wednesday, looking at generally a partly to mostly sunny forecast. 86 degrees on Tuesday. We'll be at 85 degrees on Wednesday. Sandy?
Thanks for that. Time for our News 2 weather picture there by Jaden Francis, second grader of E. Benjamin Oliver Elementary School, giving us some sunshine as we head into the weekend. Jaden, thank you for that. Send us your News 2 weather picture to be featured right here on News 2 to the address on the screen, and of course tune in to see it. Stick around. News 2 Sports is coming up next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. The 2017 World Series is tied 1-1 between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Houston Astros, thanks to a thrilling extra inning win by the Astros Wednesday night, 7-6. The game featured bullpen meltdowns by both teams, 4 home runs by the Astros, including back-to-back jacks in the 10th inning, and the game winner, a 2-run shot in the 11th by Corey Springer. The series moves to Houston tonight for games 3, 4, and 5. The Astros are undefeated at home during the postseason, outscoring their opponents 31-7. Houston sends Lance McCullers to the mound, while the Dodgers counter with Hugh Darvish. Darvish has been lights out in his last 5 starts with a 0.88 ERA. Staying on the diamond, the New York Yankees officially gave manager Joe Girardi his walking papers. In his 10 seasons as Yankees manager, Girardi won over 900 games, won a World Series, and never had a losing record. I guess the Yankee front office wants to go in a new direction. Moving on to the NFL, Thursday night football action in Baltimore as the Ravens hosted the Miami Dolphins. First quarter action, Ravens' Joe Flacco to Jeremy Maclin for the oh-so-pretty TD. Hopefully, Flacco still remembers that play because midway through the second quarter, he gets knocked out of the game on this late hit by Kiko Alonso. If you're expecting to see any Dolphin highlights, forget about it. Early in the fourth quarter, the Ravens are already up 20-0, and Matt Moore is picked off by C.J. Mosley, who rumbles into the end zone. Ravens go up 27-0. Moore throws another pick six, this time to Jimmy Smith, and the spanking is complete in a 40-0 Ravens win. On to Sunday, where the most intriguing matchup will be played at FedEx Field as the Washington Redskins host the Dallas Cowboys. Both teams are 3-3. The loser of this game can all but kiss the hopes of winning the NFC East goodbye. The Cowboys' offense is rolling. Running back Ezekiel Elliott galloped for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. And QB Dak Prescott has thrown 3 TDs in each of his last 3 games. The Redskins are a mash unit. 3 offensive linemen went down in their loss to the Eagles on Monday night. The boys have beaten the Skins 4 out of their last 5 meetings, and after Sunday, it's going to be 5 out of 6. That's it for sports. Have a fabulous weekend. Sandy, back to you.
You as well, Gary. On behalf of all of us here at News 2, have a wonderful weekend. We will see you on Monday. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Sandra Guman Singh. We'll see you next time.